of the CSU Sports Network. News Radio 540 WDAK. Cougar Baseball is sponsored by Pepsi, Burger King, the Wingate Hotel in Bradley Park, CB&T, and the St. Francis Orthopedic Institute. Now, let's go to the ballpark for Cougar Baseball on News Radio 540 WDAK.
And welcome back to the ballpark here, Ragsdale Field, as the Cougars and the Hurricanes of Georgia Southwestern about to play Game 2 of the doubleheader, Game 3 of the weekend series. The Cougars took the opening game of the doubleheader 2-1 behind the outstanding pitching of Jake Ezel, and that evens this series at a game apiece. Scott Miller back with you, and joined in this game by CSU graduate assistant in the sports information department, Will DeBoer. Glad to have you, Will.
Oh, thanks, Scotty. Glad to be here. It's my first time on terrestrial radio, and I'm hoping it's a good time that we continue with the sort of result we saw in the first game.
Well, all the pressure's on you. We're putting the pressure, the responsibility solely on you to get the sweep here today.
Did I just feel my shoulders slump a little bit?
Mackie Mason is our studio producer. The lineups have been exchanged at home plate. And we will take one pregame break, and we'll come back in 60 seconds and get this ball game underway on this beautiful day before Easter. This is the flagship station of the CSU Sports Network, News Radio 540. For Game 2 of the doubleheader, Matt Nettles is in left. Brendan Collins is the center fielder. Jackson Oliver in right. Blake Edwards is the third baseman. Ryan Eiley at short. Carson Bowers the second baseman. Chris Daniel at first in this game. And Dustin Averett is behind the plate. And on the mound, getting his warm-up tosses in, is Brian Headley.
Headley, the big 6'7" senior righty out of Wetumpka, Alabama, the pride of Wetumpka High School and Southern Union Community College. This will be his 9th start of the season, 10th appearance overall, 3-2 record, 4.53 ERA in a shade under 44 innings pitched. His last start was the Sunday game against Flagler a week ago, and it was the very definition of a cheap win, Scott. 6 earned runs against in 5 innings, but CSU scored 6 for him in the bottom of the 5th inning and ended up winning and giving him that W.
That was a big comeback win to complete the 3-game sweep of the Flagler, which started the second half of the conference schedule and picked up a couple of non-conference wins during the middle of the week, and then ran into the roadblock last night of losing to this team that had just 2 conference wins coming in, but certainly a nice pick-me-up by Jake Ezel in the opening game today to get us back on track.
And a whole lot will be forgiven if Brian Headley can put together a good performance, and if the Cougars can get a few more runs on the board. A series win is a series win, and this one will put them over 500 in conference play for the first time all season.
All right, the last warm-up toss by Headley, the throw down and the peg around, and we are set to get this 3rd game of the series underway. And Evan Alderman, the center fielder, will lead it off. He was 1 for 4 in the opening game today. He was 4 for 5 last night. Last night they pounded out 17 hits. So Alderman steps in there from the left side of the plate. And Headley gets the sign from Abert, and the first pitch of the game is outside and high, ball one at 3:49. We are underway here this afternoon in the third and final game.
Alderman of Oxford, Georgia, and the Joe Walton Academy.
The 1-0 pitch is on the outside corner for a called strike, 1-1.
Wind blowing in on us here once again. Home runs are going to be hard to come by.
Unless you're the third baseman for the Hurricanes. We call him Babe Ruth this weekend. The pitch is downstairs, and it's 2-1.
Oh, you mean the Sorrow Maker?
Yes. Paul Sorrell with a home run for their only run in the first game today. He hit 2 home runs last night. Pitch is fouled away over into our bullpen.
So you could say that we're starting to figure him out.
Should be down to none in this game, right, if the pattern continues?
Or a half home run if you're going by decimals there. That'd be more like a double.
Headley looks in, gets the sign from Abert, and the 2-2 pitch. Chopped slowly to short. Eiley Fields throws low, safe. Speed of Alderman beat it out.
He's done that a couple times this season, Scotty, beating out the infield hits. And now if you're that Columbus State infield, you got to watch it. Alderman, 11 of 14 stealing bases coming into today. He is the threat to run.
Brett Burgess 1 for 4 in the first game today. He was 2 for 5 last night. Left fielder hits from the right side of the plate. He's moved over from right to left for this final game. The pitch is in there for a called strike. He's probably glad to get out of right. It was he had a couple of tough moments out there with that wind blowing in and knocking balls down in front of him.
Eventually it'll lead to the winning run for Columbus State, which came in on his error.
Good lead over at first, not going. The pitch is fouled away. 0-2.
If that was Matt Nettles' dropping of a base hit into right field, one hop went just by him, had to chase it down. Eventually the run scored, and Matty was standing up on third.
So Alderman gets his lead over at first. Throw over there, back safely.
I wonder, Scott, if Georgia Southwestern will be a lot more aware on the base paths, considering Brendan Collins was picked off for Columbus State really early on in that second game of this series.
Well, he was also picked off in the first game. Picked off last night in the very first inning as well. Throw over the first, close. Back in there.
Well, you can be sure of one thing. Brendan Collins isn't going to be picked off in this one. Unless these
you think so?
Unless these things come in threes. I don't know.
I'll get the lottery numbers from you later. Runner leads, and the pitch. Breaking ball misses, 1-2. I would have bet that he wouldn't have been picked off today after being picked off last night.
That's a fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me type of deal. Fool me 3 times, well, the saying doesn't go that far.
Last night was a little different. It was a straight pickoff last night. Throw to first, and he's back safely. This time, today, in the first game, he was going, but the left-hander just stepped off and threw behind him.
Yeah, McElwain had that motion going to first base that could lure in a bunch of base runners, and it did Collins that time.
1-2 pitch, swing and a miss, struck him out.
There's the high heat from Headley.
So the first strikeout for Bryan, and we'll bring up the second baseman, Will Redding. Redding 0 for 3 in the opening game today.
As tall as Bryan is, he doesn't usually get many strikeouts. That K for him, just the 38th of the season and now 44 innings.
Runner leads again a throw over, and he's back safely.
You would think with the torque advantage he has with his 6'7" frame, he'd have some more strikeout capability. Suppose not.
Breaking ball catches the inside corner. 0-1. Cougars have one midweek game next week. Wasn't on the original schedule. Tuskegee on the road. Throw over the first back.
That should be a fun one, Scott. The first time those two teams met this season, it was back in February. Columbus State won by 4 touchdowns. 28-zip.
Next conference series next weekend on the road at Montevallo. Throw the first again, and again he's back safely.
Monty's also contending for one of these last few spots in the PBC top 8. They come into this one square up at number 8.
0-1 pitch in on his hands, fouled back to the screen, 0-2, and then the last home conference series will be the following weekend, April 17th, when Georgia Regents comes in. Friday single game, Saturday doubleheader. Those will be our next broadcast. And then on the road at Armstrong the next weekend, and then the Peach Belt Conference tournament right here in Columbus. There goes a runner, a fake start. He slams on the brakes and takes the pitch outside. Redding does, 1-2.
Armstrong softball team, of course, was here yesterday. Downed our Lady Cougars 8-4 and 8-zip in that doubleheader.
Throw to first again, back safely. So Brian trying to do his best to hold a fast guy close at first. 1-2, swing and a miss, had him way out in front on that one, and he picks up his second strikeout.
You could see the cobwebs off of that ball, slow as it was moving. Way to fool him.
Here's the first baseman, Davy King. Throw over the first again, back safely. King was 0 for 3 in the opening game, and last night he was 0 for 5, so he's wearing an 0 for 8 collar to this point in the series. Throw to first again, and he's back safely. Brian may be setting a record for the most throws to first with one base runner here. Alderman, a average lead over there. The pitch, fastball on the outside corner for a called strike.
Davey coming to us from Macon, Georgia, and Howard High School. Tries to model himself after Chipper Jones, his favorite ball player.
There goes the runner, a big jump. The throw down is not in time, and it's in the center field, but Collins is backing it up, so no advancement for Alderman, who gets the stolen base. So all those throws over to first, trying to keep him close, and Alderman steals second anyway because he got a huge jump. Pitch was outside, and it's 1-1 on King. And is that Carson Bowers, who was taking the throw, and he has injured his left hand. Our trainer Justin is out to take a look.
That's the second time this week we've seen a Columbus State middle infielder shaken up. Midweek game here against Point University. Ryan Eiley in his first game back from another week-long injury. Got his right knee banged into during a similar play as that, a stolen base attempt, and some contact was made and some contact that isn't supposed to be made, but Ryan was all right, and he finished out the game, and he hasn't missed any time since.
Carson appears to be okay. He's still shaking that left hand, that wrist, looking at it right now, but he stays in the game. The 1-1 pitch, chopped toward him at second, of course. He fields, he throws, and he got him. The baseball has a way of doing that. Carson up to the task, nothing doing for the Hurricanes here in the first inning. We go to the bottom of the first. Georgia Southwestern, nothing. The Cougars just now coming into bat. This is the flagship station of the CSU Sports Network, News Radio 540.
CSU Sports Network. News Radio 540 WDAK.
Head to the bottom of the first inning here at Ragsdale. Scott Miller and Will DeBoer, and on the mound for the Hurricanes, they throw another lefty at the Cougars, Dylan Brown.
Southpaws galore for the Hurricanes. Brown, a 6'2 sophomore out of Dacula, Georgia, Dacula High School, making his third Sunday start of the season, third consecutive. He comes into this one 1-1, a 6.43 ERA in 21 innings. The last outing, 5 1/3 innings at GRU Augusta last Sunday, 5 runs against.
Here is Brendan Collins, shows bunt and bunts it foul down the third base side. As my grandmother used to say, we're not going to hold this against you because you're not from around here, but it's Dacula.
Dacula?
Yes.
Ooh.
Is where it's how they pronounce that up there.
Dacula. Note to self, not near vampire pronunciation.
Brendan was 3 for 4 in the opening game and hits a rope, but right at the third baseman, Paul Sorrow, who goes to a knee to make the grab for out number 1. So 1 down, and that'll bring up Jackson Oliver. Jackson 1 for 4 in the opening game today. Came into today hitting .344. Pitches downstairs, 1-0.
Jackson's had a tough week coming into today. He was batting just 3 of 14 in the previous 3 games.
The 1-0 fly ball to right. That wind's going to knock it down short of the track, and Newberry is there for the out. Last night, that one would have been out of here.
Instead, today, the wind has decided to do its impression of an NFL cornerback on a Hail Mary. Knock it down!
Here's the DH, Mike McClellan. Mike played first base in the opening game today. He was 0 for 4. And pitches high and away. Mike is due to hit a long one here.
Oh, he sure is, Scott. He's got 11 on the season, but his last one came a couple series ago, March 21st at Lander.
The 1-0 breaking ball misses inside, and it's 2-0. On the way from Brown, swung on and fouled back to the screen, 2-1.
Mike was on a torrid pace coming out of February. He had 9 home runs. He had 13 all of last year, including that big one in the regional playoff game against Aiken.
The walk-off winner, pitches fouled back. He had 2 in that game. He had homered earlier in that game and then hit the walk-off winner.
I've got your call from that game. Used it in the preseason video from this year.
I know, you did a great job on that video.
Oh, I appreciate that. Had fun doing it.
2-2 on the way. Swing and a miss. Struck him out. So a 1-2-3 inning for Dylan Brown. And we've played 1 here in the second game of the doubleheader. Georgia Southwestern nothing, Columbus State nothing. This is the flagship station of the CSU Sports Network, News Radio 540.
Looking for relaxing.
Top of the second at Ragsdale, nothing ball game, and third baseman Paul Sorrell will lead it off against Brian Headley. Sorrell homered in the first game today. His only hit in that game, he had 2 home runs last night. He had 4 coming in to the series. So
you think we can convince him to transfer here next season? He plays so well in this ballpark.
he certainly likes this place, doesn't he? He digs in there from the right side, stands deep in the batter's box, on top of the plate. First pitch from Brian is in there for a called strike. Headley struck out 2 in the first inning.
Yeah, I mean, he's got another year of eligibility left. He's a junior, already transferred once out of Andrew College.
The 0-1 pitch, pounded the outside corner at the knees, 0-2. Long look in. Brian has one he likes, but now Sorrell asks for time, and it's granted.
That's the sort of thing you don't see quite as often at the college level of baseball. I guess it's the sort of thing Commissioner Manfred's trying to eliminate in the bigs.
0-2 breaking ball, sweeps outside, 1-2. If you've been to Ragsdale Field or listened to the games we've had on the radio, the 1-2 miss, 2-2. Will, as the guy, does the great job with the public address announcing, including singing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game."
Oh, all that's just part enthusiasm and part repressed enthusiasm, I can tell you.
The 2-2 pitch misses outside. Now, Stephen wanted me to ask you, I would never ask you this, but Stephen wanted me to ask you what you did with the money that we gave you for singing lessons. The 3-2 pitch is on the way. Called strike 3 on the inside corner. Sorrell was backing away, but it caught the corner.
Hang on, let me check the notepad on my new solid gold iWatch phone. See what I did with that money.
I told you just a moment ago that Sorrell stood right on top of the plate, and that ball that caught the corner had him backing up. 3 strikeouts now for Headley. Zach Barron pitches over his head. That pitch was so far inside, it was outside. And Barron staring out there. You know, interestingly enough, in that first game, Sorrell, who just struck out looking, on his home run, he flipped the bat and stood at home plate a little bit.
Ooh.
When after he homered off of Jake Ezel, the pitch is in there for a called strike.
Brian watching that game, he's going to take no nonsense from the third baseman this time around.
Well, I just thought it was interesting that pitch catches the outside corner for a called strike, 1-2. Barron kind of stared out at Headley a little bit as that ball sailed over his head. And there's a ground ball into right field for a base hit. Chris Daniel, a diving attempt to get it, but couldn't flag it down, and it's the second hit of the game for the Hurricanes.
He was hugging the line on that one. He had to run a long way on that hot base hit.
Josh Tatnall, the designated hitter, he was 0 for 4 in the first game of the doubleheader. 3 for 5 last night. First pitch from Brian is in there for a called strike.
Tatnall, the starting left fielder for the first 2 games of this series. Easy to remember because it's position 7 for number 7. Today, this second game, he's getting a break from the field and focus on his bat.
Tried to check his swing, didn't matter. It was on the outside corner anyway, and it's 0-2.
And for Southwestern to win, they're going to have him revamp his bat. He's batting .326 coming into today. 4 doubles, a homer, 7 RBIs for the Newark, Delaware native.
The 0-2 pitch bounced to third. Edwards Fields goes to second for 1. On to first, 2, a double play. 5-4-3. Headley gets the double play to get out of the inning. So nothing doing for the Hurricanes in the top of the second. We go to the bottom of the second inning at Ragsdale in game number 2. And it's a 0-0 ball game. This is the flagship station of the CSU Sports Network, News Radio 540. All right, Scott Miller, Will DeVore back at the ballpark, bottom of the second, 0-0 ball game in the second game of the doubleheader. And Dustin Averett, Chris Daniel, and Carson Bowers due up here for the Cougars in inning number 2 against Dylan Brown. Dustin 0 for 3 as the DH in the opening game today.
Really, the only bad game he's had in this very solid week. He seemed to have found his stroke again. 7 of 10, a couple doubles, yesterday's home run, and 3 ribeye steaks.
All right, the lefty kicks and fires downstairs, and it bounces up and tags the umpire. Plate umpire will try to walk that one off. And the catcher, a little professional courtesy, will run out to the mound to give the plate umpire time to shake it off a little bit.
Oh, watch it, Scotty. It's amateur courtesy. This is college baseball now.
Dustin, as you said, got that ball up in the air to right last night and homered. That's all you had to do last night was to get it up in the air in center field or right field. Today, a totally different story. There's a bouncing ball that the shortstop Barron Fields throws, and he got him as he was ranging toward the bag. Made a nice play. And that'll bring up the first baseman, Chris Daniel. Chris had the game off in the opening game. Last night he was 1 for 5 with a run scored.
Daniel setting against the lefty in game 1. Now he's going to get his shot at a lefty in game 2. Greg Appleton putting faith in his new first baseman.
Rocking the high socks. Pitch is fouled away over toward the tennis courts and out of play.
Oh, I just love that. The old-fashioned stirrups. The way baseball pants were meant to be worn.
Yeah,
sign me up for freshman English again here. I'm regressing.
I like that look myself. The 0-1 misses outside, and it's 1-1.
See, Carson Bowers in the on-deck circle. He's got the modern pants that go all the way to the feet. That's just wrong.
Breaking ball stayed high, 2-1. Just kidding, Will, about the singing of the "Take Me Out to the Ball Game." It takes a lot of courage with a singing voice like that to do that in public. So hats off. The pitch misses, 3-1.
Gee, thank you, Mr. Simon Cowell. All that, I'd say, repressed enthusiasm. It all goes back to my days doing high school PA at good old West Lafayette High School in Indiana.
3-1 misses outside, then a 1-out walk issued to Chris Daniel. And that'll bring up the second baseman, Carson Bowers. Carson 0 for 3 in the opening game today. And last night, he was also 0 for 3.
The second baseman, number 10, Carson Bauer.
Carson, this is really where he does his thing. Batting with runners on base, he came into today batting .417, just .298 when the bases are empty.
Checks the runner over there, and the pitch misses outside. 1-0.
Anyway, to finish the thought, freshman year of high school, I did sing Take Me Out to the Ball Game for one fifth-inning stretch. Coach Walbaum had a note in the press box next game. It said, "No singing."
The 1-0 swing and a miss. 1-1. Everybody's a critic, right?
I'll bet. I take it too seriously. When I come here, they let me do basically whatever I want. They let me make up school names to read for scores. Let's do a check on old Nagipi State.
I have them in the tournament. Are you kidding me? The 1-1 is high, 2-1.
I bet you they made you upset. They busted your bracket, huh?
That's it. I don't know. I told them they haven't lost yet, so I must be still alive.
Undefeated and unchallenged.
2-1 is also high, 3-1.
They got a joke like that for New York University football as well. Undefeated since the founding of the school.
Same with CSU football. 3-1, pulled foul down the third baseline. 3-2. Final four tonight. Duke and Michigan State in the opening game. 6:09 tip. 8:49 scheduled tip for Kentucky and Wisconsin.
A 1, a 1, a 1, and a 7. But the 7th Michigan State, nobody is surprised by that.
Izzo's a magician. Fly ball center field. Center fielder Alderman going back toward the gap in left and makes the catch. 4 out, number 2. And that'll bring up the third baseman, Blake Edwards. Blake 2 for 3 with a run scored in the opening game. He was 2 for 5 last night.
Edwards promoted into the 7 hole in this ball game. Matt Nettles dropped from 6th to 8th.
Blake spent some time at short, moved back over to third last night, position that he won the Gold Glove at last year. The pitch is high, 1-0.
Did a sort of a Cal Ripken maneuver this season, moving from middle infield to the corner infield, and he's done just as well there.
Runner leads, pitch is low, and the count goes to 2-0. Chris Daniels at first. He walked with 1 out, still there with 2. We play in the bottom of the second, 0-0 game, at a very fast game, the opening game. Breaking ball stayed up and away, and it's 3-0. Good crowd on hand on this beautiful day before Easter. 3-0 pitch taking all the way, and it's downstairs for ball 4, nowhere near. So a couple of walks here in the inning for Brown. Puts Daniel at second. And that'll bring up Matt Nettles, left fielder, 1 for 3 in the opening game. He's 1 for 4 last night.
Matt's had a tough week, just 3 for 14. 4 strikeouts coming into this game.
See if he can find a hole with a couple of outs to take a lead here. There's a strike.
He needs just something, anything to happen. That first at bat of the second game of the series, he just looked completely lost at the plate. And he did nearly have something. That was that ball that almost dropped down the left field line.
0-1 breaking ball in there for a called strike. And it's 0-2.
Coach Appleton showing faith in Nettles. Earlier in the season, he would have gone to Kevin Manos, the right-handed left fielder. they had a semi-platoon going out there, but lately, Matty's been full-time out in left.
Matt was caught stealing in the opening game today, caught stealing home. There's a chopper over the mound. Second baseman Fields will flip to the shortstop Barron at second to get the force there. So a couple of walks and nothing doing. They're stranded for the Cougars here in the second. We played 2 at Ragsdale. It is Georgia Southwestern nothing, Columbus State nothing. This is the flagship station of the CSU Sports Network, News Radio 540. Top of the third, nothing ball game. The Cougars and Georgia Southwestern. And Dakota Long makes his first appearance in the series. He's the catcher here in game 3, 173 on the season. Brian Headley with 3 strikeouts in the first 2 innings. And the tall right-hander kicks and fires. It's downstairs, 4-1.
Brandon Weaver, the normal catcher for Georgia Southwestern, at least in the first 2 games of this series, getting the third one off as catchers so often do.
1-0 pitch is downstairs, 2-0. Devin Newberry, the right fielder, making his series debut as well, is on deck. 2-0 pitch is lined into left for a base hit. Nettles getting over to cut the ball off and gets it back in a hurry with a strong throw to hold Dakota Long to a long single. So batting 173 coming in, and his first at bat, he lines one to left.
That was awfully pretty, Scott, like a golf stroke, and he just laid it out there in front of Nettles.
Here's Devin Newberry hitting .202 on the season. His first appearance in this series, playing right field and hitting in the 9th spot. Let's see what the Hurricanes want to do here. Not showing bunt, takes a pitch inside and high, ball 1.
Devin Newberry on the Georgia Southwestern website, his nickname listed as Dingle.
Dingle?
Dingle Newberry.
All right.
That sounds like a comic strip.
It does. Long gets his lead over at first. And the pitch popped up, drifting out of play, though, down the first base side. Chris Daniel ran and gave it a look, ran out of room. 1-1.
It sounds like the sort of thing that you'd see on the panel just below Kathy and one page off of Pearls Before Swine. That one was always my favorite.
1-1 pitch. On the way to the plate, swing and a miss. Got a piece of it, actually, fouled it back into Averett's glove. 1-2. So Headley comes set and to the plate. Breaking ball misses outside. 2-2. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Long, a bigger lead off of first than he's been getting.
Leaning a little bit, but the breaking ball is pulled foul in on his hands.
Long, not really the threat to steal, being a catcher, although we have seen a catcher steal today. Dustin Averett took a base in the last game.
Well, that's understandable. We gave him the nickname of Wheels last year, and he was showing out in that first game. 2-2 pitch misses outside, and it's 3-2.
Wheels, you mean like spinning wheels, or?
Well, the man can motor now. You got to give him some credit.
Oh yeah, I give him props on that one.
Throw to first. He's back easily.
I mean, he's no Jason Kendall, and when he was playing the majors, a catcher, one of the faster guys out there.
Payoff pitch on the way to the plate. In on his hands, fouled away. Always talking about catcher speed always reminds me about Bruce Benedict, former Braves catcher back in the 80s, and we see Bruce from time to time. He's a basketball official now. He was at the Lumpkin Center a couple of times this year. Tommy Lasorda once said of him, Benedict so slow he'd come in third in a race with a pregnant woman. There goes the runner. 3-2 is fouled away over toward their bullpen and out of play.
Well, those ones you have to think about for a second there, and then it's like, oh, that's a good one.
So they played a little hit and run, and Newberry went to the right side but fouled it away. Speaking of Cougar basketball, Shane Hayward walking down below us here. Another 3-2 pitch fouled away.
Big Shane. Game of his life in the NCAA tournament.
He was a man in that game up in Tennessee.
And he seemed to improve month by month as the season went on, and he emerged as really one of the top 2-3 players on the team.
There goes a runner, a huge jump as Headley just forgot all about him. The pitch is fouled back to the screen.
One of the top shot blockers in all of Division II. If he had been able to perform at that level, the February-March level, the same way in November, December, we might be talking 3 Columbus State All-Conference and All-Americans to go along with Kenny Funderburk and D'Lo Kirkland.
He's going to get a chance, throw to first back safely. He's going to get a chance to make some money playing this game over in Europe, so we're happy for him.
Oh, way to go, Shane.
D'Angelo Kirkland likewise. 3-2 pitch, chopped over the mound. Bowers fields, steps on the bag, throws to first, and he got him. Carson was moving toward the bag to cover it with the runner going, and was right there to grab it and step on it and throw to first for the double play.
The center fielder, number 23.
I think that one glanced off of Headley's glove, too. Not easy to do to bounce it over him, but he might have brushed it. And at least I put him in my book as the old 1-4-3 double play, although not the sort of 1-4-3 you'd imagine.
And back to the top of the order, and Evan Alderman. He singled and stole a base his first time up, but was stranded. Pitch is downstairs for ball 1. Breaking ball in there for a strike. 1-1. So 2 down now, nobody on in the top of the third of game number 2. Cougars look for the sweep of the doubleheader today and the win the series. Pitches downstairs, 2-1. Two-one pitch that misses inside. 3-1.
Alderman on the season, 17 walks, on the verge of another.
3-1 is on the outside corner for a called strike, so that runs the count full here.
The invisible runners on base will be in motion with a full count and 2 outs.
And the payoff pitch is on the way. Downstairs, ball 4, so the first walk of the game issued by Brian Headley. And with 2 down, that will bring up the left fielder, Brett Burgess, who was a strikeout victim swinging in the first inning.
18th walk of the season for Alderman, also the 18th walk issued by Brian Headley.
Nice crowd sitting on the hill behind the left field fence today. It's a great place to watch a ball game out there. Fastball misses outside, 1-0.
I see a couple of people on the elevated courtyard of the Cunningham Center out in dead center as well. That's my favorite spot to watch a ball game.
Yeah, that's a great spot. The big balcony in the left. Good spot as well. Pitch is chopped. A high leaping grab by Edwards. Throws low and right off the chin of Chris Daniel, and he's safe. And Chris is hurt. Blake Edwards had to leap to make the stab, and then he threw, and it's a long hop and hopped up and hit Chris in the face. And he walks away
The second baseman, number 2, Will.
from our trainer, Josh, who ran out there. Justin, I beg your pardon. I'm used to the basketball trainer. Justin.
Both J names, you know, it's easy mistake. But yeah, he was out towards about third base and then just went back to the dugout.
So runners at first and second. And the pitch is in there for a called strike to Will Redding. Blake made a good play, a leaping grab. I thought it was going to bounce over his head to begin with, but then he hurried his throw and bounced it, and Chris took it right in the choppers. The 1-0 popped him up, but it's being pushed back out of play and over the stands. And Headley ahead in the count now, 0-2.
That would have been about 3 extra rows back of what we've got on the top there on the first base side here at Ragsdale Field.
If you're walking into the park or walking around the back of the stadium, you got to be aware when the game's going on. 0-2 pitch stayed high, 1-2.
All those signs up everywhere saying foul ball territory, or if there's a parking lot, park at your own risk.
A ball and 2 strikes. Runners lead from first and second. 2 down, and the 1-2 pitch in on his hands. He fought it off and fouled it away. And that slammed into the rec center, I guess, huh?
Yeah, that hit something. The reverb coming off of the brick.
So a ball and 2 strikes. The 1-2 pitch just missed outside with the fastball. Averett held it there for another beat, and then Headley looking in, wondering where that missed. 2-2. So 2 on, 2 outs, 2 balls, 2 strikes. Runners lead, and the 2-2 pitch. Breaking ball rolled to short. Eiley Fields will flip to the second baseman, Carson Bowers, to get the force. So nothing doing here in the third for the Hurricanes. They leave a couple of more men on. We go to the bottom of the third inning in game number 2. Georgia Southwestern nothing, Columbus State nothing. This is the flagship station of the CSU Sports Network, News Radio 540. Bottom of the third inning on a windy afternoon here at Ragsdale in game 2 of the doubleheader. Nothing score. Cougars took the opening game today, 2-1. Ryan Eiley, and then back to the top of the order, Brendan Collins and Jackson Oliver. Due up here in the third against Dylan Brown. I heard you mention earlier off the air talking about some of this date in baseball history, and the one that caught my ear, the first pitch is a strike on the outside corner, was April 4th, 1974, when Hammerin' Hank Aaron hit number 714. Hit it up in Cincinnati.
Right you are, 52,000 at Riverfront.
And he bunts it down the third base line and pushes it foul. And it's 0-2. 4 nights later, I was sitting in left center field with my brothers David and Lamar as he hit 715 on April 8th, 1974, on a cold night in Atlanta against the Dodgers.
Old Fulton County Stadium. Well, left center, that thing landed close to where you were.
Yeah, it did. It was right down. Tom House caught it out in the bullpen. We went to that game. I grew up in Atlanta, and it's 1-2. We went down to the stadium and did not have tickets for that game, and we were not going to be able to afford to pay a very high price for the scalped tickets. The 1-2 is in the dirt, 2-2, and a guy comes up to us. He says that he's a doctor and he just got a call that he was on call and he had to go to the hospital to take care of something. He had 3 tickets and he would sell them to us below face value. There's a line drive hit down the left field line, drops in there. Eiley rounding the bag at first. It's down in the corner, kicks away from Burgess down there. Now he picks it up and gets it back in. And Ryan Eiley leads off the third inning with a double. Pulled that down into the corner.
And Burgess had some trouble in that corner there. Eiley thought for a split second about breaking for third. Decided against it, though, with the top of the order coming up and nobody out with a scoreless ball game.
So first hit for the Cougars. So I stared at those tickets to make sure it was, the ticket said 1974 and not 1973 from the year before or something, but they were legit. We got in the ball game for less than it would have cost us at the ticket window and saw history. Brendan Collins hit a bullet to the third baseman his first time up. He shows bunt and takes one inside.
Interestingly enough, Scott, it's lucky that you were able to see it on that particular night. I don't know if you remember, Atlanta wanted to keep Hank Aaron from playing in those next couple games at Riverfront Stadium so he could try and break the record in Atlanta, but they were ruled by Commissioner Bowie Kuhn, and he forced the Braves to play him in those games.
I remember that very well. Bunts it down the third baseline. It's a good one. They're going to have to let it roll, and it just goes foul. I mean, just barely foul. And Brown picked it up when it stopped rolling, and Brendan will have to come back and do it again. 1-1. Yep, Eddie Matthews was the manager of the Braves, and he was not too happy that the commissioner of baseball was filling out his lineup for him. But Hank didn't hit the record breaker in those 2 games in Cincinnati and did it in the first home game, which Bowie Kuhn was not there. 1-1, breaking ball hits him inside. So breaking ball came in and hit Brendan. And the Cougars are in business with 2 on and nobody out here in the third.
I can't imagine the commissioner doing something like that nowadays.
Right. And then not showing up on the night that, or even followed him around. Who knew when he was going to hit the home run, but he had a, quote, previous engagement. So Bowie Kuhn is not, even to this day, for longtime Braves fans, not a very popular baseball commissioner.
Oh, you don't say.
Here's Jackson Oliver. looking the runner back to second with the shortstop Barron cutting in behind Eiley. Jackson fly to right his first time up.
8 years ago when Barry Bonds was chasing the home run record, Bud Selig was there just about every game.
And the pitch catches the outside corner for a called strike.
And what I remember about those, they'd show the home runs on TV and they'd cut to Selig in the press box, and he always looked so bored, like he just didn't want to be there.
Well, he probably didn't, quite honestly. He and Hank Aaron are best friends.
Right, the old Milwaukee connection.
And have been since the Milwaukee Braves days. Drops down a bunt down the first base line. Catcher picks it up, throws to first, and he got him. That's a nice play by Dakota Long, but the runners move up to second and third on the sacrifice. Jackson almost beat it out for a base hit.
And this is the guy you want up if you're Columbus State. McClellan needs to break out of a slump here. If he does, the Cougars have a couple on the board.
Cougars have struggled this year with the runners at third and less than 2 outs. Situation there again, second and third and 1 down. Not struggling this time as he hits one deep into left center field. It's going to be deep enough to get the runner home as the center fielder Alderman catches it. And also on the play, the speedy Collins moves up from second to third, and the Cougars are on the board first, lead it 1-0.
Normal day, that one's halfway between the wall and the Cunningham Center, but I'm sure Greg Appleton and McClellan will take what they can get that run on the board, finally have some breathing room.
RBI number 50 for Mike. And let's see if Dustin Abert can do some 2-out damage and tack on to this 1-0 lead here. Fastball runs inside on him. 1-0. Yeah, Bud Selig he walked a very fine line that year with Barry Bonds and the controversy about whether he was juiced or not. Pitches bounced and fouled away. 1-1. We still, Braves fans, still call, and probably, quite frankly, a lot of baseball fans in general still call Hank Aaron the legitimate home run king.
Well, I can understand the argument. I choose not to accept it, though.
Well, everybody can be wrong every once in a while. That's okay.
Yeah,
the 1-1 pitch misses inside, and it's 2-1.
And I know this isn't a popular opinion, but I think all the stuff that happened in that so-called steroid era, it's the way the game was played. And nowadays, if a guy tests positive, well, yeah, you got to suspend him.
Well, everybody didn't play the game that way, though, during that era. That's the thing. The 2-1 pitch misses high and away, and it's 3-1. It's easy in this society to just say, well, everybody was doing it, so, you know, why not? But everybody wasn't doing it.
On the other hand, a lot of it was legal, or at least if it was illegal, not enforced.
3-1 misses low and away. 4-4.
And you think about Mark McGuire in '98. We knew. People knew he was taking something, and everybody watched anyway as he and Sammy Sosa chased down Roger Maris.
They either watched, or if they were in baseball hierarchy, they looked the other way. But you're right about that. Here's Chris Daniel. He walked his first time up. So it's been a long inning for Dylan Brown. Double, hit batter, sacrifice bunt, sacrifice fly, another walk. 1 run is in, 1-0. And the pitch is downstairs. 1-0. So Brown throwing a lot of pitches here in this third inning.
Those executives in baseball choosing to look the other way, deciding, oh, we're gonna focus on Marge Schott instead nowadays. See if we can get her to sell Cincinnati's ball club.
Well, they were focusing on the turnstiles that home run race created, and it had them spinning and bringing the fans back in to the ballparks. Pitches downstairs, and there goes Wheels Averett again. I told you not to diss the man's speed. He's in at second.
Vroom, vroom.
We need to get one of those Roadrunner sound effects. The Braves had a fast outfielder back in the Hank Aaron days, Ralph Garr. His nickname was the Roadrunner, and every time he beat out a base hit or got a stolen base, they'd play the beep beep. Two and 0 now on Chris. The 2-0 pitch misses outside. 3-0.
Oh, heck, you don't need a machine for that. I could fold it for you. Beep, beep.
There you go. Nicely done. Carson Bowers waits on deck. 2 down in the inning. Long went out to have a chat with Brown.
Now, the old Plymouth Roadrunner car actually had that as a horn back in the 60s through 1980. Good old car.
Brown working from the full windup. The 3-0 is in there for a strike. Chris taking all the way.
Chrysler had to pay a mint to get that sound effect.
I bet. Brown gets a sign from Long after the long look in, and the 3-1 pitch. Breaking ball stayed high. That's another walk. Ball 4.
So would that make the Ford Edsel the Wile E. Coyote of the bunch? Scheming but ultimately unsuccessful?
Would fit right in, wouldn't it? Bases are loaded. That's 2 walks and a hit batter in the inning for Dylan Brown. And that will earn him a visit from the dugout to buy the Hurricane bullpen a little time to start getting loose. Just had a couple of guys run down there, a catcher and a pitcher. So another visit to the mound. Scott Miller, Will DeBoer here in game 2 of our doubleheader today. The Cougars took the opening game 2-1 and looking to get the 2 out of 3 in the series after the disappointing loss last night.
And Scott, they can go a long way to getting that win right here. Bases loaded. They've struggled this season, but if anyone can break out, it's Carson Bowers.
It'll take a 2-out happening to get another run in.
Although Carson, he hits well with runners on base, just 3 for 11 with the bases loaded.
All right, the visit from the Hurricane coach is over. And Brown back up on top. There's a Cougar at every base. 1 run is in the inning. 2 down. The pitch way outside, nowhere near. Tried to overthrow that one.
Carson, a starter in just about every game this season at second base. One of the team's top hitters as well.
The 1-0 breaking ball misses inside. And it's 2-0.
He's hitting one position higher than normal, the same as Blake Edwards. Those two usually go 7-8. Today they're 6-7 with Nettles hitting 8th.
2-0 in the dirt. Ball bounces away, but Long keeps it in front of him off to his right to prevent the runners from moving up. And Dylan Brown has been nowhere near Carson Bowers here, and he's behind in the count 3-0 with the bases loaded. He's walked 2 and hit a batter in the inning. The 3-0 pitch is in there for a called strike. Carson taking all the way, obviously. Brown back up on top. 3-1 pitch. Bounce right back through the mound. Shortstop fields. Backhanded flip to the bag, and he got him. My goodness, what a play by Zach Barron. The ball was right back to the mound. You thought that the pitcher, Brown, had a chance to make the play, but it got by him, and you thought the Cougars might be in business, but Barron reigns behind the bag, and then the backhanded flip to get the force at second, and the Cougars, despite getting a run in the inning, leave the bases loaded. But they break out on top. After 3, it's Columbus State 1, Georgia Southwestern nothing. This is the flagship station of the CSU Sports Network, News Radio 540.
We head into the top of the 4th inning from Ragsdale Field. Will DeBoer and Scott Miller with you. Georgia Southwestern sending up King, Sorrow, and Barron, the 4, 5, and 6 hitters, to face Brian Headley. 3 shutout innings through the first third of this game, 3 hits against. And the first pitch to Davey King, fouled straight back to the screen. Davey 0 for 1 today, a ground out to Carson Bowers at second in the first.
Said you're from Indiana. What was your favorite major league team growing up?
Oh, you're not going to like me for this one. As Headley's into the windup, here comes the 0-1. Off-speed pitch, that one's low for ball 1. I was part of a New York Mets family. Dad was from the East Coast, spent a lot of time on Long Island. Grandpa was a New York Giants fan back in the 50s, the days of Bobby Thompson and Willie Mays. As King bounces one foul towards the third base dugout, count goes 1-2.
Still a Mets fan? Still your favorite team?
Yep.
Yeah? Yep. That's usually the way it works. So whatever your favorite team is when you're a kid.
Has Headley with the 1-2 offering, and a pop-up. This one shallow left field. Nettles coming on to it. Ryan Eiley instead reaching out his glove, doing a sort of Olay work in front of Nettles, and it puts one man away. Nearly a dangerous fall in between those two players.
Ryan had to actually reach back. He had overrun the ball and reached back and made the catch with big number 8 barreling in toward him.
And that brings up Mr. Danger, Paul Sorrow. Took a looking glass strikeout against Headley in the second. First pitch, swinging, popped him up again. This one shallow right field. Deep enough for Jackson Oliver, who fights the sun, makes a two-handed catch, 2 away. And yeah, Mets fan, if you can get through the last few years, the near bankruptcy of the Wilpons and the Katzes with the Madoff scandal and Matt Harvey's Tommy John surgery last season, and you come to what could potentially be some golden years, as the first pitch to Barron popped him up. Foul territory. Daniel gives chase and watches it go into the swampland behind the right field bullpen here at Ragsdale. 0-1.
Well, the Mets' fortunes certainly on the rise from what they've been over the last few years.
Say that again. Harvey, Jacob deGrom, Noah Syndergaard in waiting. Steven Matz also in waiting. As Barron shows bunt, takes a strike, 0-2. It would have been even better if Georgia native Zach Wheeler had been able to pitch this year. Zach, the latest pitcher to undergo Tommy John surgery. 0-2, slashed down the third base line, but foul. This one trickling into the Columbus State bullpen. Count stays 0-2.
It's always interesting to me to hear and read about baseball fans in the New York area, and when the fans of the Giants when they left and when they finally got a National League team back in New York.
As a diving stop by Blake Edwards at third base. Superman is in Columbus, and he wears number 11 for the Cougars. Edwards laying out, robbing Barron of extra bases, and that will retire the side. Hurricanes go down in order, middle of the fourth, score 1-0. Cougars in the lead on the flagship station of the CSU Sports Network, News Radio 540. One to nothing. Cougars over the Hurricanes. Last of the fourth inning. The bottom of the order due up for CSU. Edwards, Nettles, and Eiley. And first is Blake Edwards, dusting off the dirt from the chest of his uniform after a diving stop over at third base to end the top of this inning. Brown, the lefty, into the windup. Here comes the first pitch. Fastball, missed outside. Ball one.
And, gee, this never happens in baseball, does it? A guy makes a great play to end the inning and leads off the next? What a rarity.
Geez, I think this may be a first time for both of us here, Scotty. 1-0, off speed that time. Same result outside, ball two.
Amazing, though, how often that does happen.
Well, when your number is called, your number is called. We'll see if Blake can contribute with his stick this time, and he has to flinch out of the way of one that came way inside. Brown having trouble finding the plate. He goes 3-0 again. And 3-0 offering. That one skips the dirt. Ball four. The Cougars have themselves a leadoff walk, and for Brown, that is his third walk in the last 4 plate appearances. And so with Edwards on first, Matt Nettles coming to bat. Nettles grounded into a force out to end the second inning and strand a couple of runners on base, looking for redemption against a man who needs to get a strike. And how?
5 walks total for Brown now. A right-hander continues to get loose in their bullpen.
Off-speed pitch, this one outside for ball one.
So when the Giants and the Dodgers both left the New York area, and the Mets came in a few years later, National League team finally back in the metro area.
1-0 pitch, this one low and outside, way off the plate. Count goes 2-0, 6 straight balls from Dylan Brown.
It was probably made for some strange bedfellows as far as fans go, right?
Oh, you can imagine. I mean, just look at the colors. Blue for the Dodgers, orange for the Giants, as Brown fires one back to first base. King has to make a short hop to get that one, so Brown wild at the plate, nearly wild over at first base. And yes, and especially nowadays, it even continues, even though the Dodgers and Giants have been on the West Coast for about as long now as they've been in New York. 2-0 pitch, off speed. That one finally crosses through the zone. Count goes 2-1. And just look at Citi Field, the Mets' new ballpark. The facade reminds you a lot of Ebbets Field. They call it the Jackie Robinson Rotunda. You know, Met fans descended from Giants like me. We say, hey, what gives? What about us? We won more World Series. 2-1 pitch, not coming yet. Time called by Nettles. Brown was giving a long look over to Blake Edwards at first base.
Somehow the New York Giants didn't have as good a PR as the Brooklyn Dodgers, did they?
Yep, guess not. Well, it helps when you play the Yankees so many times in the World Series in the 50s, as Brown misses outside, ball 3. And the Giants' glory days were in the teens and the 20s under Little Napoleon, McGraw. And aside from Willie Mays, they were sort of on a downslope, while the Dodgers of the 50s were one of the top teams to ever assemble in the National League. As Edwards takes off for second base, it won't matter. That one low and inside, ball 4 to Matt Nettles. Second straight walk issued by Dylan Brown, and I'd have to think we're going to see an appearance from the Southwestern manager at any moment.
6 walks now.
This guy couldn't find the plate if he was locked in a Tupperware factory. And with runners on first and second, nobody out. Columbus stayed up 1-0, looking to tack on some more in the bottom of the 4th inning. Ryan Eiley will look to be the man to do it.
I think we're going to see him come out after the catcher was sent to the mound to talk to the pitcher to stall for some more time, because they did not tip the cap yet in the bullpen, saying that the reliever is ready. And the catcher looks over there to see if he wants to stall some more. And I guess he's going to get one more batter to face.
They've got a big right-hander warming up in the bullpen. Not warm enough, though, to face Eiley, who has the only Cougar hit on the day. It was a double down the left field line in the last inning. He later scored on Mike McClellan's sac fly, and he nearly flies this one into our living space here in the press box. A bunt attempt that sails up into the metal stands of Ragsdale. The count goes 0-1.
The Giants did have that Bobby Thompson moment, didn't they?
Oh, absolutely. And not just the moment, the lead up to it. 13 and a half back with 6 weeks to go, 37-7. The stuff of legends. That ought to be what they make a movie about. Eiley showing bunt again. He pulls it back as that one comes high and inside for a ball.
And the iconic call of the Giants win the pennant. The Giants win the pennant.
Russ Hodges. Legend has it that we only have recording of that famous call as Eiley skies a bunt attempt, a diving play by Dylan Brown. Well, if that's his last batter, what a way to go. Flying just about a foot above the ground towards that third base line. Spears it with the glove. Eiley fails to lay down the sac attempt. And it puts one out on the board for the top of the order for CSU. Brendan Collins up now.
Boy, great play by Brown. Great athletic play when Ryan couldn't get the bunt down.
Collins, a line out to third and a hit batsman in this game. First pitch finds the inside corner, a called strike 1. And yes, legend has it that it was a young Dodger fan who was living in Morningside Heights, or some area where it was heavily populated with Giants fans, and he wanted to tease them all by hearing Russ Hodges talk about the Giants losing the pennant as Collins lines one foul into the CSU bullpen, 0-2. And then the 9th inning comes around. Giants get their men aboard. Ralph Branca comes in. Don't worry, Nuke, I'll take care of everything. And the rest is history, and it makes for one unhappy young Dodger fan.
He should have burned that tape.
0-2 pitch coming outside, ball 1. Believe it or not, that's not the first time that a sort of thing like that has happened in my family, at least, going back to '86 when the Mets and the Red Sox were playing in the World Series. As Brown ahead of the count 1-2 against Collins. Gives a couple looks back to second base. That's Edwards there. Time is called. Anyway, my dad's friends happen to be Red Sox fans. They wanted to videotape the end of Game 6 to see the Sox win their first World Series since 1918. And the Mets tie it. Henderson's home run in the 10th. And all those base hits scrapping together the rally in the bottom of the 10th. 1-2 pitch and a line shot into right center field. Base hit for Collins. Edwards gets the go sign from third base. Cut off by Brown. Edwards scores, and now it's 2-0 Columbus State. The RBI single for Brendan Collins. And it gives a little breathing room for the boys in white. Matt Nettles going over to third base. That puts runners on the corner for a one-out at bat by Jackson Oliver. Foul out to right and a sac bunt earlier in this game.
Well, going full circle with the Hank Aaron talk and the Bobby Thompson talk and his dramatic home run.
As Brown misses low and outside to Oliver for ball one.
Bobby Thompson was with the Braves when a rookie Hank Aaron was trying to make the club. Thompson broke his ankle, and Hank Aaron was able to move into the lineup.
And a ground ball over to second. This could be two. The flip to second for one. Double play. 4-6-3. A Cougar rally erased, but they do get one on the board on Collins's RBI single. For the Cougars in the bottom of the fourth inning, one run on one hit, no errors, one left aboard. End of the fourth, the score, Cougars 2, Canes nothing. This is the flagship station of the CSU Sports Network, News Radio 540 WDAK.
CSU fans, your membership.
Top of the fifth inning from Ragsdale Field. Cougars up 2-0. The Canes sending up Tatnall, Long, and Newberry, the bottom of the order, for the fifth inning against Brian Headley. And just to finish my thoughts, Scott, my friends gave the tape to my dad, and they burned their Red Sox caps. This is Josh Tatnall, the DH, bounced into the 5-4-3 double play, which ended the second. Brian Headley, 4 shutout innings thus far. He'll look for one more. First pitch swung on and missed for strike one. Off speeder fooled Josh Tatnall. The count goes 0-1.
One of the many things I love about baseball is all the stories that weave in and out of its history.
As Headley rears back, throws as hard as he can, and he bounced that one just in front of the plate.
Dustin Averett took that one off his shoulder, and the plate umpire is going to walk out and give a new baseball to Brian to give Dustin an opportunity to shake it off, so plate umpire gets a chance to return the favor.
I bet you Dustin is just thankful for all that catcher's equipment that he's got right there. That bounce could have been potentially devastating. 1-1 pitch, fouled back, jammed him on the hands. This one drifting toward the street behind us, and the count goes 1-2. Headley in cruise control, reminiscent of his first start of the season back on January 31st against West Alabama. 1-2 pitch and a line shot into left field. This one dropping, and it'll fall in front of Nettles for a base hit. So Josh Tatnall, his first hit of the game, the first for Southwestern since Dakota Long singled to lead off the third. And, well, speak of the devil, and he shall appear. Dakota Long, the left-handed hitting catcher, coming to bat for the Hurricanes, looking to get together a rally and get a couple of these runs back on the board to draw themselves even. Shortly for Tatnall off of first base. Headley from the stretch delivers. Curveball, that drops low, ball 1. Tatnall on the season, 3 stolen bases in 4 attempts. So he doesn't go often, but when he does, he is often successful. The 1-0 pitch, low and outside, ball 2. Just around the same spot, a little more velocity. Long now ahead in the count, 2 balls, no strikes. Brian Headley starting to get into a bit of a jam. It's more like jelly at this point, but it's getting there. 2-0, that one fastball catches the outside corner, a called strike 1.
Canes have out-hit the Cougars 4-2 in this game.
All right, you are the line scores. Cougars 2 runs on 2 hits, 1 error for them. For Southwestern, no runs, 4 hits, and no errors. As Long golfs this one foul. That one headed towards the CSU shared baseball and softball clubhouse. Count now even, 2 balls and 2 strikes to the 8th hitting catcher.
Back toward the tennis courts. We lose more tennis players that way through the years.
And who can forget when it struck the light pole above there back in '98? Headley ready. Here's the 2-2 pitch. Another foul shot. This one safely into the net. Count stays 2-2.
The guy that did that was certainly a light hitter.
Indeed, he was. Tatnall now stepping off of first base, inching up on his lead. We'll see if he breaks here. 2-2 pitch coming from Headley to Long. Brian with the offering. Outside, ball 3. That fastball not to the liking of the home plate umpire, and the count goes full. CSU Tennis, of course, had a successful outing yesterday with twin sweeps of
Georgia Southwestern.
Yeah, there you go. For the men, it was their 2nd sweep of the Hurricanes this season. They opened up the season with 1. Payoff pitch outside, ball 4. This one squirts out of the glove of Averett, the catcher. Tatnall breaks for second base, but slows up as he sees that one's got no chance of sending him to third base.
That pitch slipped as it was coming out of the hand of Brian Headley.
And so Brian in the first real trouble he's faced today. He's got Tatnall on second, Long on first with nobody out, and the 9th hitting Dingle Newberry coming to bat. Bounced into the 1-4-3 double play back in the 3rd inning. The one that glanced off of Headley's glove and for all intents and purposes was a 4 unassisted 3 double play. As a bunt attempt by Newberry, it looks like it might have glanced him in the batting helmet. He fouls it back towards the metal pole that holds up the net. He's going to take a couple seconds just to see if he can see straight.
Well, he was squaring around, and Brian came up and in on him right in his kitchen and had to dive out of the way. It fouled it back.
Almost very, very not good. And he's going to stand in there and try the bunt again. And he does. This one going back to Headley. Carson Bowers comes over to first base to cover, and the throw pulls him off the bag. Brian Headley a little too anxious to get that one over to first base. His throw was high. Carson Bowers only stands about 5 foot, oh, what would you say, 9. He had to leap for it, and he left it just the wrong time, and now, all of a sudden, the Hurricanes, a storm a-brewing for them, bases loaded, nobody out in the top of the order coming up in Evan Alderman. CSU starting to get, looks like Caden Ferguson loose in the bullpen if Headley were to fall apart in this inning. First pitch, low, ball 1. That one not even close.
Caden was up in the pen in the first game today, did not make an appearance, and here comes Coach Greg Appleton. And this will be one of those one-sided conversations where Greg does all the talking and Brian does all the listening, and meanwhile, give the bullpen some more time to warm up.
Greg Appleton in his 18th season with Columbus State. This game happens to be his 1,000th as the head coach of the Cougars.
What a career he's had. What a job he's done here.
College World Series back in 2002. I see 2 more banners out there he was responsible for.
He had one of those talks with Brian Headley that Milo Hamilton, who was the Braves announcer in the early days in Atlanta when they moved to Atlanta, used to call a Dutch uncle talk.
Are you making fun of me for being Dutch?
Well, you probably know exactly what he meant then, huh?
Refresh me. I'm 3rd or 4th generation or so. 1-0 pitch, low and outside again. Ball 2, off-speed stuff not quite working, and Alderman's ahead of the count.
I think it meant he left no doubt what his point was.
Very, very direct. What they would call in my public administration class a low context culture. Bouncer over to Eiley at short. This could be 2. The flip to Bowers at second for 1. The throw to first. Double play. A run does come in to score. That's Tatnall, but Headley will gladly exchange it for the 6-4-3 twin killer.
It was a big pitch right there. He was behind in the count 2-0, and he got a speedy man to hit it on the ground and right at Eiley, and he was able to flip it quickly, and Carson made a fast turn for the double play.
Just what the doctor ordered, but the Hurricanes do cut the lead in half, and they've got the tying run 90 feet from the plate with Brett Burgess to bat. First pitch and a line shot through the hole into right field, base hit. This ball game is tied. Long comes in to score, and it is 2-2 on the RBI single by Brett Burgess.
Well, you see that happen so often. A pitcher in whatever the situation may be, maybe it's a big strikeout, it's a double play ball to get the second out of the inning. They just seem to relax just a little bit, and that happens. They're hurt by the next guy more times than not.
He relaxes, and meanwhile, us up in the booth have our blood pressure skyrocket. First pitch to Will Redding, that one low for ball 1. Overheard you and Stephen talking about doctors' checkups and all that sort of thing in the latter innings of the first game today. How's the old pacemaker going there? Natural pacemaker, of course. The 1-0 from Headley off speed. That one stayed high for ball 2. If you call it letter high, that one dotted the I's. And now Redding in a prime hitter's count.
Well, there have been many times this year during the basketball season that Stephen would check you. How you doing? Your heart okay over there? Hanging in there?
Thank you and everybody else who followed the CSU bunch. Coach Robert Moore's squad, 5 comeback wins when they were down by at least 10 in the second half. Remarkable. 2-0 pitch. Redding chops one. This one drifting foul down the third base line. Count goes 2 balls and a strike.
Well, you got to hand it to Georgia Southwestern this weekend. They came in here having won just 2 conference games, and they're out of it. Nothing to play for except personal pride for their school, and wanting to be spoilers. They won last night. Tooth and nail battle in the opening game, and right back at it again here in the third game.
2-1 pitch coming from Headley to Will Redding. Instead, he will toss over to first base and chase Burgess back there. Well, I've got to bet that at the beginning of the season, they had this weekend circled. Remember, Columbus State was one of the preseason favorites here in the PBC. Cougars and Lander. They've been waiting a long time for this one. 2-1 pitch. Burgess takes off for second base. He'll have to come back as Redding fouls this one back into the netting. Count goes even at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Of course, Columbus State all but out of the conference race. Lander.
Lander is now trying to hold off Georgia Southwestern to stay out of the bottom.
Bearcats 7-15 in league play, second to last. 2-2 pitch from Headley. He reaches out and grounds a weak grounder over to first base. Daniel picks it up, steps on the bag, and that will retire the side. But Southwestern ties it up, brings one home on a double play and one on a Burgess single. For the Hurricanes, 2 runs on 2 hits, no errors, 1 left aboard. Middle of the 5th, the score, 2-2 at Ragsdale Field, right here on the flagship station of the CSU Sports Network, News Radio 540.
McClellan.
2-2, last of the 5th, the heart of the order coming up for Columbus State. It's McClellan, Averett, and Daniel. First is Mike McClellan, sac fly that scored Eiley his last trip to the plate. First pitch low and outside, ball 1 from Dylan Brown. Worked his way around trouble back in the 4th inning. Now he's going to get another shot at it. And he's going to get another one in the dirt. 2-0 is the count to big Mike McClellan.
Yeah, it did not look like Brown was going to get out of that last inning, but he was able to do so with the double play.
2-0 pitch, low and inside this time. A change of pace, laterally at least. And the count immediately goes 3-0. We'll see how long Brian McLean regrets the decision to keep Brown in the game into the 5th. 3-0, that one down the heart, a called strike 1.
I have a feeling the leash is a little shorter in this inning, especially since the Canes have battled back to tie it.
The right-hander warming up in that bullpen. He should be close to warm right now, and he might have to come out now as Mike McClellan draws a leadoff walk. The 3rd straight CSU leadoff man to get aboard. 2nd in a row via the walk, and it brings Dustin Averett to the dish. A ground out, a walk, and another stolen base in this ball game. I think that's Cody Graham, a side armor up in the bullpen for Georgia Southwestern. Brown's first pitch, low and inside, ball 1. Well, Dusty's had his wheels going all throughout this game. McClellan, well, any stolen base attempt for him would be his first of the season.
7 walks for Brown now.
Lucky 7. We'll see if it's lucky for the Cougars right here. And a fly ball into left field. Burgess going back on it to the warning track. And there's that win, playing cornerback again for the Southwestern defense. Averett with a long fly out to left field, and that puts one man away. And now Chris Daniel, the first baseman, a pair of walks in this ball game. Daniel, he's good at getting on base. Came into today with a .479 on base percentage. That one going way up now. He has more walks than he does strikeouts. And he'll take a breaking ball outside for ball 1. Daniel now part of a more regular rotation between catcher and first that Averett, McClellan, and Blaine Miller are all a part of. And he takes a strike on the outside corner, 1-1. Cougars 2, Canes 2. We're in the bottom of the fifth from Ragsdale. Will DeBoer and Scott Miller with you on News Radio 540. 1-1 pitch coming from Brown to Chris Daniel. That one bounces the dirt, 2-1. Wind's starting to pick up now. We can feel the gusts through your open window, Scott. Flag's blowing straight on from out in right center field, and the bouncer over to short. Steps on the bag, the throw to first, double play. 6-3 in your scorebook. Second consecutive double play for the Cougars, inning-wise, and that will retire the side. For Columbus State, no runs, no hits, no errors, none left aboard. Into the fifth, the score, Cougars 2 and Hurricanes 2. You're listening to Columbus State Baseball on the flagship station of the CSU Sports Network, News Radio 540. Top of the sixth from Ragsdale, Will DeBoer and Scott Miller. And Brian Headley's day is done, and Caden Ferguson, the new pitcher's day, was almost done as Averett's throw to second base nearly conked him out square in the head.
Jeez, that was close. Now he's got laughing a little bit about it as he's back up on top now. Caden, the left-hander, 6'3", 190 out of Ackworth, Georgia. 2-2, 4.01 ERA.
Started the season as CSU's second starter of a three-game series. Faced a bullpen demotion as Jake Ezell took his spot. Now he's in, replacing Brian Headley, who went 5 innings, allowing 2 runs on 5 hits, pair of walks, and 3 strikeouts. Now Ferguson's first pitch to Davey King, and there a called strike 1. Fastball caught the outside corner, and the count goes 0-1.
I think the move to the bullpen has given the Cougars a big weapon coming out of that bullpen with Caden now.
And King fouls this one back over our heads in the press box. Count 0-2.
Talked about the number of pitches that Dylan Brown had thrown right before that double play ball. Stephen Williams said he'd thrown 83 pitches, 35 for strikes.
Ferguson's fastball outside, ball 1. 85 pitches, 5 innings. What does that work out to? You got one of those math tools on you? 1-2, pitch swung on him, missed, strike 3. Got him with a slider. King had no chance. Sort of helicoptered up there at the plate, and that puts one man away.
I did not sign up to do math, okay? So no math. That's why I have this job. I'm not very good at math.
All right, there with you, buddy. And so now in a tie ball game, Paul Sorrow looking to break the hearts of the Cougars once more. Sorrow 0 for 2 today, a strikeout and a flyout. First pitch, fastball, missing outside, ball 1. Sorrow, the 6-foot junior out of Jenkinsburg, Georgia. Came to Southwestern by way of Andrew College. 1-0 from Ferguson and a fly ball into center field. Collins getting on his high horse, and he'll have to slow the horse up a little bit. Catches it just in front of the 2007 Cougars College World Series appearance banner. And Sorrow is retired for the third time today.
Sorrow, when he got the first, yanked his helmet off. He was frustrated. He knows that he just missed that. He just got under it a little bit.
Even without this win, that might have been still in the ballpark. Zach Barron at the dish now. First pitch, fastball. That one, an eyelash off of the plate to the outside. Ball one. Barron has single back in the second, but was retired on the double play ball that Josh Tatnall hit. 1-0 and a bouncer. This one through the hole on the left side and a base hit. Good contact by Zach Barron, and he has his second hit of the game. 6th of the day for the Hurricanes, and a 2-out rally perhaps in the works for GSW.
The designated hitter, number 7, Josh Tatnall.
This is Tatnall, led off the top of the 5th inning with a single and eventually scored a run. He'll look to keep the ball rolling with Barron on first and 2 outs against Caden Ferguson. Caden's first pitch, a fastball. That one catches the outside corner, called strike one. Cougars 2 and Hurricanes 2 are in the top of the 6th inning from Ragsdale Field on the western edge of the great state of Georgia. And a bouncer over to short. Eiley has to charge this one. Grabs it with one hand, throws it with the other, and he gets it there in time. That will retire the side. And so Ferguson allows a 2-out hit, but works around it for the Hurricanes. No runs on 1 hit, no errors, 1 left aboard. Middle of the 6th, the score, Cougars 2 and Hurricanes 2 on the flagship station of the CSU Sports Network, News Radio 540. We head to the last of the 6th inning. Columbus State sending up Bowers, Edwards, and Nettles. And for Dylan Brown, who was walking a tightrope through most of the last couple innings, he has finally fallen off, and he's given way to Cody Graham, the reliever for GSW. Right-handed
sophomore, big guy, 6'6", 268 out of Rockledge, Georgia, 1-2 at a 5.52 ERA.
That is a mountain of a man right there as Carson Bowers shows bunt, brings it back as it's outside for ball one. Dylan Brown exiting after 5 solid innings. It could have been a lot worse than it ended up being for him. 2 runs against on 2 hits and 7 walks. Just 1 strikeout for the southpaw. This one low and outside, ball 2. Carson on the day, he has flown out to center and he bounced into a double play. Actually, rather, that wasn't a double play. That was just your standard 1-6-4 putout. Oh, yeah, that was the one back in the 3rd, Scott, when it looked like the pitcher was going to get it. Then it looked like he was going to go through the hole. 3-0 pitch now. A fastball. That one down the heart. A called strike one.
So Dylan Brown, who came in with an ERA of 6.43, surrenders just 2 hits and 2 runs.
That'll help out his cause as Bauer swings through a fastball for strike 2. Carson swinging for the fences that time. He wanted it all and came up with nothing at all. Here's the payoff pitch from Graham. This one low and outside, ball 4. And so for the 1, 2, 3, 4th consecutive inning, the Cougars have the leadoff man aboard. Blake Edwards will look to keep the ball rolling Edwards a pair of walks and a run back in the fourth.
8th walk issued by Hurricane pitching in this game.
So they're pitching like they're in a hurricane too. Blowing them all over the place. First pitch to Edwards. This one a bit of chin music on the inside. Blake ducks out of the way, and it's ball one. Bowers a pair of stolen bases on the season. 1-0 pitch, that low for ball two. Graham having just as much trouble as Brown did finding the plate. He goes behind in the count 2-0 to Edwards.
29 in the third innings coming in, 7 walks and 20 strikeouts, but 37 hits in those 29 innings.
Oh, that's not going to help your whip. 2-0 fastball, that one down the heart, a called strike one. Edwards taking all the way, and why not against a guy who walked the leadoff man and appeared to be on the way to walking him as well. Edwards, the third baseman, he's had a couple of good stops from there in this ballgame, and he bounces one over to third base, and a bad hop, it eats Sorrow alive. Paul Sorrow had a bounce off of his left shoulder, a high hop off of the grass. I don't know, would you charge an error to him that time or a natural base hit to Edwards?
Well, it ate him up. It took a wicked hop and up off his shoulder. Didn't have much shot of it.
The left fielder, number 8, Matt Nettles.
In any case, it puts 2 men aboard with nobody out. The rally in motion once again for Columbus State. We'll see if Matt Nettles can finally keep it going. The go-ahead run is Bowers on second, Edwards on first. Nobody out. First pitch and a fly ball. This one into center field. Playable for Alderman, who comes over, calls off Burgess, and makes the catch. Fires a rocket towards third base, holding Bowers over on second base, and it puts one away.
Matt would have liked to have gotten that ball on the right side to pull it, but couldn't even get that done.
And now it's the man from the land down under, Ryan Eiley from Ferny Grove, Australia. And in fact, he does use Down Under by Men at Work as his walk-up music. And I just love that. Eiley had a double and a run back in the third inning. First pitch, he shows bunt. And he shoots it foul. That one fair for just a split second down the third base line. He'll come back and do it again. Count 0-1.
Cougars had a player from Australia on their national championship team. 2002, won the Division II College World Series.
One of 7 appearances for Columbus State in the ultimate playoff round of Division II baseball. Last came in 2007. So it's starting to get up there in terms of years. 0-1 and a pop shot into right field. Newberry coming on for it. It falls in front of him. A Texas League base hit for Ryan Eiley, and that'll load him up for the top of the order.
It's like a little game of lawn darts for Ryan. Just tossed it out there in a perfect spot.
Center fielder, number 7, Brendan Collins.
And we do have an official ruling from the scorer that ground ball that Edwards reached on is in fact an error charged to Paul Sorrow. And so Edwards on second, Bowers on third, and Eiley on first base for Brendan Collins, the leadoff man for Columbus State. Takes low and outside, ball one. Collins on the day, a line out to third. He was hit by a pitch and he drove in a run back in the fourth inning. That was CSU's last appearance on the scoreboard heretofore. Here's the 1-0 off speeder. That one crawls across the plate in the zone for strike one. Collins looking to break it open. He finds the gap. He's got 3 speedy base runners aboard. And then himself. 1-1, and he bloops it nearly through the hole. Wild throw home by the shortstop, Barron, but it's not wild enough. It gets to the catcher Long, who's there awaiting on the plate for the fielder's choice.
Unbelievable. What a play by Zach Barron. He was deep in the hole at short. He didn't even have a play at third, but off balance, he fired one that you could have called a fair catch on to the plate, and it was there in time. All they had to get was just the force, of course, and my goodness, what a play.
I thought that one was going all the way to the backstop. Changed direction at the last moment. You talk about a guy who's good at math, he's probably good at calculus, figuring out all those curves and stuff. As Jackson Oliver fouls his first pitch back into the screen, 0-1.
Cougars have, as I've already said, have struggled with runners at third and less than 2 outs, but that was a unique way of having that not able to score.
Columbus State left the bases loaded to end the third inning, hoping for better success with runners everywhere this time around. Instead, Oliver flies behind the count 0-2, Graham painting the outside corner. 2-2, Columbus State and Georgia Southwestern tied 4 now in the bottom of the 6th inning. Jackson Oliver looking to break through with Edwards on third, Eiley on second, and Collins on first. Fastball outside, a pitch out of sorts from Graham, trying to get Oliver fishing, but he's not biting. 1-2 to the reigning third-team All-American Jackson Oliver. He earned that honor as just a sophomore last year for CSU. 1-2 pitch swung on and missed. Strike 3. Got him with an outside fastball, and that will retire the side. Clutch pitching from Cody Graham, brought on to put out the fire in the 6th, and he does. And for Columbus State, more missed opportunities. For the Cougars, no runs on 1 hit, 1 error, 3 left aboard. Into the 6th, the score, Cougars 2 and Hurricanes 2 on the flagship station of the CSU Sports Network, News Radio 540.
And we head to the top of the 7th inning at Ragsdale. All knotted 2-2 in the final game of the 3-game set. And the first pitch to Dakota Long is in there for a strike from Caden Ferguson. So a really big opportunity blown by the Cougars in the bottom of the 6th. Pitch is fouled away over the third base side. 0-2.
Highlighted by that great play from Barron over at shortstop on the touch pass to home to the catcher Long, who's now batting.
The 0-2 pitch from Caden bounces back to the screen, 1-2.
But the other side of that coin, Scott, is how does Carson Bowers at third base not score that time?
That was a bizarre play. It was deep in the hole. He had to jump and throw home, and it was a little looper. There's speaking of a little looper, in on his hands and into center field for a base hit.
Maybe I'll get the lottery numbers from you after this game.
With the wooden bat, that's bat is shattered in on his hands, but here it's a base hit. So Devin Newberry, the right fielder, 0 for 2. Let's see how the Hurricanes want to play this. Tie game, top of the 7th, and leadoff man on, number 9 hitter Newberry.
The only thing I think about with Bowers is he must have thought that ball was through the hole and he was just trotting home like a dressage horse.
The pitch is in there for a called strike. Like a what kind of horse?
A dressage horse. Apparently it's some sort of rich people sport. I think the Romneys were involved in the last Olympics.
I don't think Roy Rogers rode that kind of horse. The 0-1 is downstairs.
Yeah, he was trotting home when he should have been making like Big Brown or Secretariat and just a mad sprint at the Belmont.
The ball and a strike. Runner leads from first, and the pitch lined in the gap in right. Diving attempt by Collins. He can't get it. That's going to roll to the track. They're going to wave and now stop the runner at third. The third base coach was waving Dakota Long home, but he threw up the stop sign at the last moment with nobody out. And Devin Newberry doubles in the gap in right center. Good job by Jackson Oliver backing up Brendan Collins to keep that ball from rolling too far away, and it saved a run.
And nice awareness from the Georgia Southwestern third base coach. He was sending them all the way, and all of a sudden, it's that yellow light that comes up on you right when you're thinking, oh no, can I make it through?
And here is Evan Alderman, winner tie game, 2-2 in the top of the seventh. Now Dustin Avert is going to go talk to Caden Ferguson. And the Hurricanes have runners at second and third and nobody out. They have been a pain in the neck all weekend. They will not go down quietly.
Sometimes the last place teams will do that to you. You can't ever let your guard down.
We're in at the corners. Normal depth in the middle. Pitch is a strike on the outside corner to Alderman, who is 1-for-2. He hit into a double play his last time up, singled in the first and walked in between.
Appears CSU willing to surrender the go-ahead run if it means getting a normal style out from shortstop or second.
The 0-1 pitch, lefty to lefty, outside and low, 1-1.
I can understand that, but I can also think that if you're Greg Appleton, your offense hasn't been scoring. You need to keep every run as possible off of the board when it comes to Southwestern's offense.
Caden takes a little too much time for Alderman. He steps out. Now he's back in. 1-1 pitch. Chopped toward the second baseman. Can only make one play to first. The run will score from third, and the Hurricanes have a 3-2 lead, and the runner from second moves to third with one down. So Alderman picks up an RBI with Long scoring and Newberry going to third. Well, now Ferguson has to do damage control and try to find a way to get out of this with just the one run scoring. Now the infield is in all the way around with a runner at third and one down, and already down a run here in the seventh. Breaking ball misses inside to Burgess, who is 2 for 3 on the afternoon.
Burgess, you'll remember, had that line drive into right immediately following Alderman's double play ball in the fifth, when Brian Headley may have relaxed just a hair, and it cost him because that was the tying run.
1-0 pitch is high. 2-0. So Georgia Southwestern has taken the lead 3-2 in the top of the seventh. Runner at third, one down, one run already in, and the infield in all the way around for CSU. Although even with the bag at third is Blake Edwards. Pitch is high and away, and it's 3-0.
I got the net cutting me off from my position. Do you see anyone warming up in the bullpen for CSU?
I can't see either. The net and that light pole makes it a bad angle for us down here.
Sun's starting to drift down in that direction as well.
The 3-0 pitch taking all the way, of course, on the outside corner for a called strike.
I don't think I've seen anyone this season, Scotty, try and swing with 3-0. I mean, you don't normally, and it's rare that even a major league will get assigned to do just that.
3-1 pitch on the way. There's a strike. 3 balls and 2 strikes. So Caden has battled back to run the count full, and a strikeout would be huge right here. Burgess struck out swinging in the first inning against Brian Headley. The 3-2 pitch, fought it off and fouled it away down the first base side.
Just for the audience's sake, Paul Sorrow is about to be in the hole.
Do a payoff pitch again. Ferguson comes set, and the 3-2 pitch chopped right at the second baseman Bowers. He looks the runner back to third, throws to first for the second out. So playing the infield in pays off there as he put the ball in play, but it was right at Carson. Runner holds at third. All right, here's that situation again that I was talking about last time, where Caden Ferguson does not need to let his guard down at all and relax here after getting that big second out. Will Redding looking for his first hit in this game. There's first pitch strike.
I would think, though, with this situation being different than it was for Headley, when he got that double play, he hadn't let any runs in. Caden's already let the go-ahead run come in on this inning, so he's already tense and already thinking, okay, I got to at least minimize the damage.
Pitch is fouled off. 0-2.
Redding, just a sophomore, coming to us from Woodstock, Georgia. River Ridge High School.
So Redding behind in the count, 0-2. 0-2 pitch. Fastball just a little outside the zone, 1-2. That big 2-out hit in the fifth inning by Burgess tied the game after the first run scored on the double play ball. 1-2, swing and a miss, struck him out. So Caden Ferguson indeed does some damage control, stranding the runner at third, but he gives up one run. And we go to the bottom of the seventh inning. Time to stretch at Ragsdale Field. Georgia Southwestern 3, Columbus State 2. This is the flagship station of the CSU Sports Network, News Radio 540. Bottom of the seventh inning, time for the Cougars to go to work, see if they can answer that go-ahead run that the Hurricanes put on the board in the top of the inning. Middle of the order, due up, Mike McClellan. First one up here, takes the pitch outside for ball one. Mike has a sacrifice fly RBI on the day, otherwise walked and struck out. 1-0 pitch, chopped slowly to third. Sorrel Fields throws, and he got him. One down. Dustin Averett. What else is happening around the league, Will?
Well, Scott, we're at the end of the sixth from Milledgeville. Georgia College leading Francis Marion 5-1. End of the fourth in South Carolina. It's UNC Pembroke 7, USC Aiken 6. Our game, of course, and then top of the fourth from Augusta. Flagler is trailing GRUA 3-0.
Dustin is 0 for 2 with a walk in this game. He shows bunt and takes one out of the strike zone for ball one.
Flagler a little bit stunned, especially after coming in here last weekend and dropping all three.
The 1-0 is downstairs, 2-0. They won the first game of that series last night at Augusta, 11-5. A lot of runs scored in the league last night. 2-0 pitch, misses outside, 3-0.
That matchup in Aiken is key. Both UNC Pembroke and USC Aiken within Columbus State's reach in the PBC standings. Pembroke 12-7, Aiken 12-10 to CSU's 10-10.
3-0 pitch is high for ball four. The second walk issued by Graham and the ninth walk issued by Hurricane pitching today. They've got a right-hander who is up soft tossing in front of the mound, not up on top of it yet down in their bullpen.
First baseman, number 12.
There's Chris Daniel. He has that ritual. He sets the bat down. He does a circle with each hands in the dirt, rubs it on his pants, steps in, takes a deep breath, moves his right leg in, and now he's ready to hit.
And the pitch misses outside for ball one. He walked his first two times up, hit into a 6 unassisted 3 double play his last time. Cougars down by a run, bottom of the 7th. One down, runner at first. Pitch misses outside, nowhere near, 2-0.
As a public address announcer and the guy who operates the music, I love a hitter like Daniels because he's so ritualistic. You can always tell when he's going to do what he's going to do and when you can fade the music out so that it's at the right time and the umpire and the pitcher aren't staring up at you saying, come on, man.
2-0 pitch is in the dirt. It is 3-0. In this game, Georgia Southwestern pitchers have walked 9. They've hit a batter, but they've given up only 2 runs to this point because they've given up just 3 hits in all of that other wildness. 3-0 pitch. There's a strike on the outside corner, 3-1.
Sort of reminiscent of a Lindsay Defee outing for CSU softball. I think there was a game earlier this season. She won all 10 innings, allowed just 1 hit, but 6 runs.
3-1 pitch, misses outside, and yet another walk. Back-to-back walks here, and 10 walks now for Georgia Southwestern. And they run another bullpen catcher down to their bullpen so they can get 2 guys up, and an assistant coach walking down giving the hurry up sign to his relievers.
Pair of righties. From here, Scott, their uniforms sort of remind me of the original Florida Marlins jerseys back in the 90s.
Here's Carson Bowers looking for his first hit in this game. That would be a good time for it. He shows bunt and takes the pitch outside 1-0. He's just going to make him throw a strike.
Here's some common ground. Scott, the Rays fan, Will, the Mets fan, we can at least say we hate the Marlins.
There you go.
Terrible. Terrible.
Carson digs back in there, check of the runner at second. The 1-0 pitch stayed high and inside, 2-0.
I mean, their ballpark has a dance club in it. Who goes to a baseball game and needs a dance club for entertainment?
So now the catcher Long is going to go out and talk with Cody Graham. And again, that'll buy the bullpen a little more time. Cougars trying to find a way to save themselves in this game and win the series, trailing 3-2 in the bottom of the 7th, though. Runners at first and second and 1 out. 2-0 pitch in the dirt, right at his feet. The catcher Long can't find it. Now he does. The runners can't move up, and it's 3-0. So after a ground out to third, a 4-pitch walk, and then a walk on a 3-1 count, and now 3-0 on Carson Bowers. 3-0 pitch, nowhere near. He overthrew that one and yanked it, pulled it down. That's walk the bases loaded now with just one down. No movement out of the dugout yet.
The third baseman, number 11.
If I'm Blake Edwards, I'm standing up there like a statue for the first pitch, maybe even the first two pitches.
And he will not get the opportunity to do that against Cody Graham, I would not think. The coach coming out of the dugout has not made the sign to the bullpen just yet, though. He has walked the bases loaded after getting the first out of the inning in a one-run game with the Hurricanes on top, 3-2. Well, he still hasn't made the move to the bullpen, but he is stalling as long as he can, which would indicate that he wants to do that, and there it is right there. Call to the bullpen, and Cody Graham has finished his day. A wild one it was. We'll take a 60-second break. This is the flagship station of the CSU Sports Network, News Radio 540. New pitcher for the Hurricanes, Kyle Romstadt.
Romstadt, a junior out of Port St. Lucie, Florida, happens to be the spring training home of the Mets. Comes to Southwestern by way of the University of Texas on the Permian Basin. This will be his 9th appearance of the season, 2-2, 4.58 ERA, 19 2/3 innings, 24 hits, 14 walks, and then strikeouts 21.
So Graham walks the bases, and a heck of a mess for Romstadt to come into. Bases loaded, one down. Georgia Southwestern with a 3-2 lead. They took the lead in the top of this inning with one run. And Blake Edwards, he has walked twice today. Just about everybody has walked at least once. The pitch is inside for ball one.
Graham finishes his day with as many walks as he does outs. Four walks and a hit.
11 walks by this Georgia Southwestern pitching staff. At some point, the Cougars are going to have to make them pay. Maybe it's right here. The 1-0 is downstairs, 2-0. Well, if you don't have to get your bat off the shoulder, it makes it a lot easier. This has really been kind of a bizarre game. 2-0 pitch. That's a strike on the inside corner.
So all the benchmarks of a high-scoring thriller, and yet here we are, 3-2 in the 7th.
So Blake made him throw a strike. 2-1 breaking ball, misses outside, 3-1. Another bad one would tie the game. Blake steps back in there. Bases loaded, one down. The 3-1 pitch on the way to the plate. Swing and a miss. 3-2.
Oh, he looked like he was trying to jack that one.
A big, big spot right here. The pressure on Blake Edwards. You got to put it in place somewhere if he throws it in the strike zone. The 3-2 pitch. He does not throw it in the strike zone. It's low and inside. Ball 4, and he walks in a run to tie the game. An RBI the easy way for Blake Edwards.
Third walk of the day for Blake. He's reached every time.
The left fielder, number 8, Matt Nettle.
And the 12th walk of the day issued by Georgia Southwestern. Here is Matt Nettles. All right, Matt. Find a hole and hang a crooked number up here. The pitch is high and away, ball 1. Man.
No one warming up in the Southwestern bullpen. This is going to be Romstad's to win or lose at this point. And, of course, instantly a guy stands up from the bench and just throws a pitch.
The 1-0 pitch. There's a strike on the outside corner. 1-1. Matt 0 for 2 with a walk. Cougar at every base still. And the soft breaking ball drops in there for a called strike. 1-2. Again, same story for Matt. If they throw it in the strike zone, you have to put the ball in play somewhere. Bases loaded in a tie game, bottom of the 7th, with 1 down. He's in the hole, 1-2. The 1-2 pitch, just got a piece of it to foul it off and stay alive.
What is with these guys? The temptation of a grand slam getting to be too much for him. You saw Edwards take a big hack of that in the last at bat, and then Nettles that time.
All right, Matt digs back in there. And another 1-2 pitch on the way. Trying to get him to chase one, high and outside. 2-2. Maybe I'm giving their pitching staff the benefit of the doubt there by saying he tried to throw it out of the strike zone.
Now you can try all you want. I'm sure Graham tried all he wanted to.
2 balls, 2 strikes on the way in the dirt. Ball 3 right at the feet of Long again. So let's run the count full, 3-2.
Long thought he lost that one for a second. He was hopping all over the place trying to find it when it was just right at his feet.
4 consecutive walks in the inning have tied the game after Mike McClellan made the first out of the inning. Payoff pitch inside, ball 4, and another run is in, and the Cougars take the lead.
So many walks this inning, I feel like we should set up a charity around this thing.
So Chris Daniels scores. RBI from Matt, the easy way. And the Cougars have taken a 4-3 lead here in the bottom of the 7th, and not exactly a classic here at Ragsdale, but the Cougars don't care. They're trying to find a way to win this thing any way they can, and here's Ryan Eiley. First pitch swinging a foul back into the glove of Long. 0-1. Not a bad idea. Guys walked 2 in a row. Figure maybe he'll just try to lay one in there on that first pitch. Oh, 1 is way high. 1-1. 13 walks.
Quick, how many songs can you think of that have walk in the title?
Well, right now, their pitching staff is the Walking Dead.
Oh, good one.
The 1-1 is inside and low, and it's 2-1.
There's that. I've got Walk Like a Man, both the Frankie Valli and the Bruce Springsteen. Walk Like an Egyptian.
2-1 pitch on the way, almost hit him inside. And it's 3-1. This is about as bad as I've seen on this level. The 3-1 pitch fouled it away over the first base side, and that runs the count full. 5 consecutive walks after the first outs allowed the Cougars to retake the lead 4-3 in the bottom of the 7th. And another full count pitch on the way, fought off and fouled away back toward the rec center.
Well, this one won't be one for the archives, but it will be one that if Greg Appleton can get it, he will absolutely take it.
The 3-2 pitch again on the way to the plate, rolled toward the shortstop, flips to second for 1 on the first, a double play.
Of course.
Eiley diving head first across the bag, trying to beat the wrap. I'm still not convinced that that's a good thing to do. But at any rate, the Cougars get a couple of runs. Christmas come early here in April on 5 straight walks, but the double play ball gets them out of any further damage. We go to the 8th inning. The Cougars have retaken the lead 4-3. This is the flagship station of the CSU Sports Network, News Radio 540. Inning rolls around at Ragsdale Field. Game 2 of the doubleheader today. The Cougars have retaken the lead 4-3, and Sean Thomas, new pitcher for the Cougars.
Sean making his 15th appearance. That's more than anybody else on the team. 1-1, a save, an ERA of 3.38.
And the first pitch to Davy King misses. 1-0, had an effective appearance in the opening game today. 1-0 pitch, bounced up the middle, and it rolls up on the arm of Eiley, but he stays right with it and picks it up and throws a strike to first. Good job by Ryan. He didn't panic, dropped at his feet and reached down and grabbed it and threw him out.
And he sticks the landing.
The third baseman, number 11.
7 points from the French judge, 4 from the Bulgarian.
Here's Paul Sorrell, trouble here in the 8th. 3 home runs in the series, 2 last night, 1 in the opening game today. He represents a potential tying run. And the pitch misses outside and low, 1-0. He's 0 for 3 in this game.
Yes, going back to Thomas's appearance in the first game, he came in with 1 out in the top of the 8th, inheriting 2 runs from Jake Ezell.
1-0 strike on the inside corner. That breaking ball had Sorrell backing out of the box and called a strike.
He got Redding to pop up in an infield fly and King to ground out to end the threat.
1-1, a one-hop bullet backhanded by Eiley at short. Throws to first, and he got him. A great play by Ryan Eiley to his knees, backhanded, popped up, threw a strike, and a big play here in a 1-run game.
And even the Bulgarian judge is giving a standing ovation. 9s all around.
So Sean Thomas with some good defense behind him. And it'll bring up the shortstop, Zach Barron, a couple of hits on the day. Fastball misses outside, 1-0. The 1-0 pitch, swing and a miss. Ball low and away.
Sean had a string on that one. A low crawler.
The 1-1 pitch on the way to the plate. There's a breaking ball and a beauty that drops right in there for a called strike, 1-2. 1-2 pitch. Missed outside, 2-2.
Not by much.
Sean ready again. Gets a sign from Dustin, and the pitch. Fly ball into center field. Don't worry about it. Brendan Collins has a beat on it. He's under it, and he's got it in a 1-2-3 inning for Sean Thomas and the Cougars here in the 8th. We go to the bottom of the 8th at Ragsdale Field. Need a little insurance. Cougars up 4-3 on Georgia Southwestern. This is the flagship station of the CSU Sports Network, News Radio 540. Bottom of the 8th inning, 4-3 Cougars on top, and the 4th pitcher of the day comes in for Georgia Southwestern.
It is Kyle Sprinks. He wears the number 33, a freshman out of McDonough, Georgia, trying to get my line straight. Union Grove High School.
0-2 with an ERA of 6.94. And the first pitch is a ball outside to Brendan Collins. So back to the top of the order for the Cougars. And bunts, drops it down. Goodwin, third base line. Sorrell fields, bare hands, throws, not in time. Brendan Collins dropped down a beauty down the third base line. Sorrell did all he could do, but it wasn't enough to get the speedy Collins and a leadoff man on in a one-run game in the 8th.
Well, if you're going to do it, you got to do it now. Last chance at the plate, assuming all goes right in the 9th.
Here is Jackson Oliver looking for his first hit in this game. Throw to first, back safely.
For Brendan, this is his first chance to really steal a base in this ball game. We'll see if he's got a good head on his shoulder after being picked off a couple times in the series.
Leaning a little bit, and Jackson bunts, and he pops it up. And in foul territory, the catcher, Dakota Long, makes the grab for out number 1. It has been a frustrating weekend for CSU in a lot of ways.
And both sides really having trouble putting down the bunt. Early on in the first game today, Jake Ezel was the beneficiary of a bunt that stayed up in the air, and he was able to double off a man at first for 2.
Here's Mike McClellan. He's looking for his first hit in this game. He has a sac fly RBI. Throw to first, and he's back safely.
You think Michael tried a bunt?
No, sir. I think we can take that one off the table.
The wind not so strong coming in from right center field.
And he lines one in the right field down the line. Watch Brendan Collins run. He rounds the bag at second. He heads to third. They bobble the ball in the corner. Going to wave him home, and he will score standing up. And the Cougars lead it 5-3. An RBI double off the bat of Mike McClellan. Even though the ball was bobbled in the corner by Newberry, Coach Patrick Collins was waving Collins home all the way.
Right on cue, Mike McClellan, the perfect time for his first hit of the day. 0 for 4 in the last game. Heretofore he was hitless. Now he is not. And that'll be his final bow of the game. He's going to be relieved for a pinch runner.
Caleb Williams will pinch run, as he does so often. So more speed out at second in Caleb, who can also really fly.
And the perfect man to pinch run for, McClellan being the designated hitter. They won't need to replace him in the field.
Here's Dustin Averett looking for his first hit in this game. He has a couple of walks, 13 walks issued by the Hurricanes, and they say, see what happens when we throw strikes. They start hitting it. And there's a strike on the outside corner.
Williams, I doubt he would steal in this situation with so few outs left, but for stats' sake, 2 stolen bases in 3 attempts this year.
Check of the runner out there. Caleb with a healthy lead at second, and the pitch is a strike.
We'll see if Dustin gets one up in the air. Williams has a nasty habit of leaving the bag a split second before the ball is caught. He's been doubled off on appeal at least once this season. And he probably should have been in a second time. I remember back on opening day against West Alabama.
0-2 pitch, low and away. 1-2. So Mike McClellan picks up his teammates. Couldn't get a bunt down to get a runner over, so Mike just drilled one down in the corner the opposite way to get the track meet started. Fouled away. Still 1-2.
RBI number 51 for McClellan. Entrenches himself in second place in the PBC in RBIs. Just a couple behind Collins Cothrell of Pembroke, who's, well, he's leading just about everything else. Home runs, RBIs, near the top in average. Now that is an all-world season.
Check of the runner out at second again and again. The 1-2 way outside. 2-2. Hung on to that one too long and yanked it, and outside.
Just readjusting his batting gloves. Well, he was doing sort of a hand jive there. Now he's ready to step in and tango with the pitcher.
Two pitch on the way to the plate, right in on his hands, and fouled it back to the screen.
Boy, was that smart.
That had been last Saturday with the temperature out here. That would have been a different thing, wouldn't it?
Today, not so much. Been high 60s, low 70s all afternoon. Just a picture-perfect day in Western GA.
The 2-2 pitch. Fly ball, right field. That wind pushing it toward the line and will drop in foul territory. It just kept pushing it away from Devin Newberry and down into that corner.
Dustin coming close. He went oppo in the first game of this series. A solo shot in the fifth near that Aflac sign out in right center field.
You'd have to get a bus transfer to hit it out to right when that wind's blowing in like it is. Every once in a while it's died down a little bit today, but not much. Swing and a miss. He went after one up around the bill of the cap, struck him out.
I think there's a Greyhound station anywhere between first and right.
Chris Daniel, 3 walks on the day and hit into a double play.
Daniel.
And his routine as he steps into the box.
That's the sort of thing you'd see in those kids' baseball video games with all the little kids who have their own thing as they walk up.
Pitch in the dirt and through the legs of the catcher back to the screen, and the wild pitch will get Caleb Williams over the third. So runner at third and 2 down now. We're in the bottom of the 8th. 5-3. Cougars on top, trying to survive the weekend. I think that's the best way to describe it. Survive this weekend with Georgia Southwestern.
Well, the Final Four is coming up tonight. In fact, it's probably all the way running right now.
Pitches downstairs, 2-0. First game is underway.
Anyway, survive and advance. It's the key to that tournament. It's the key to this series for the CSU Cougars.
The sweep went off the board last night when Southwestern took the opening game. Pitches downstairs. It's 3-0. A tight opening game today. A 2-1 victory for the Cougars. Another tight game here where the Hurricanes actually had the lead after the top of the 7th, but now trail by 2. And there's a high strike called on a 3-0 count to Chris Daniel, 3-1.
Chris was in a similar situation in Game 3 of the Flagler game. Bottom of the 8th, runner on third. Well, that time he beat out an infield single. This time he'll get a free pass.
And Spinks joins the walk parade. His first and the 14th. And we'll bring up Carson Bowers. Well, with apologies to your Mets back in the day when they said, can't anybody here play this game? Georgia Southwestern fans are saying, can't anybody here throw a strike?
Well, no apologies needed. We love those 62 bunch.
Pitch to Carson. Jackknifes out of the way, inside, 1-0.
62 Mets, 40 and 120. Worst record in modern baseball, excluding the 1899 Spiders of Cleveland, 20 and 134.
1-0 in the dirt. That's a good stop by Long to keep that from going all the way back to the screen and giving up another run. Another old joke from that year was, hey, the Mets scored 12 today. Oh,
Did
yeah?
they win?
Did we win? 2-0 pitch is high. 3-0.
My favorite story out of that year has got to be Marvelous Marv Throneberry, the first baseman. He once hit a triple to score 2 runs. He was called out for missing second base. Stengel comes out to argue.
3-0 is popped into right center field. Center fielder coming over and makes a circle and a dive and a catch. Evan Alderman out there.
And just to finish the thought, and he says, Case, I wouldn't argue he missed first base too.
The Cougars pick up an insurance run here in the 8th inning. We go to the 9th. We got to hold them Cougars. It's Columbus State 5, Georgia Southwestern 3. This is the flagship station of the CSU Sports Network, News Radio 540. We go to the top of the ninth. The Cougars up 5-3, and big Trey Watson trying to get his second save of the day.
Watson making his 13th appearance. 1-2, again 6 saves. ERA of 4.80. It's on the way down. He's a flamethrower if CSU's ever got one. 20 strikeouts in 15 innings of work and just 3 walks to boot.
And Josh Tatnall will be the first man he faces. Hope you folks have a joyous Easter. The sorrow of yesterday's Good Friday gives way to the joy of Easter Sunday. And happy Passover to our Jewish friends and fans. Started last night at sundown. Tatnall's takes the first pitch high, 1-0.
That's rare that it happens, isn't it? That Good Friday and Passover fall on the same day.
1-0 pitch on the way from Trey. That's outside and high, 2-0.
Trey Watson, the Springfield Steamer, Springfield, Missouri, Glendale High School, and Crowder Junior College.
Swing and a miss, 2-1.
And speaking of steam, you could see it coming off of that fastball.
Trey played a big role in last year's surprisingly great season. Surprising because it was a young club. 2-1 pitch, swing and a miss, 2-2.
Tatnall half swinging to make contact, half swinging in self-defense. That one was coming up towards the chin.
The 2-2 pitch on the way from Watson. Just missed the outside corner, 3-2. Cougars trailed by 1 going to the bottom of the 7th. Got 2 in the 7th and 1 in the 8th. Payoff pitch is high for ball 4. So many walks from the Georgia Southwestern pitchers on that mound that it's must be infected now.
CSU just trying to be generous, returning the favor.
Well, what that does is ratchet the tension level up a little bit because that brings a potential tying run to the plate in Dakota Long. Lefty facing a very tough lefty, though. First pitch, strike, outside corner.
Long on the season, just 1 home run. That's his only extra base hit. 9 RBIs. Came into the game hitting below the Mendoza line.
The 0-1 fouled back to the screen. 0-2.
Although he has reached every time he's come to the plate. Single in the 3rd, walk and a run in the 5th, single and a run to lead off the 7th.
They're just looking for him to find a hole somewhere. He's in a hole, though, 0-2. And the 0-2 pitch fought that one off and fouled it right at his third base coach. Yeah, that was an emergency hack right there, brother. Ball was running in on him, and he was falling backwards and swung to stay alive.
And we almost had a Lasorda moment over at third base with the coach.
Runner gets his lead at first. The 0-2 pitch missed outside, 1-2. Watson peers in, gets the sign from Dustin Avert. And the 1-2 pitch, swing and a miss, struck him out. So 1 down here in the 9th. And that'll bring up the right fielder, Devin Newberry, who doubled his last time up.
His 6th double of the season, no triples, no home runs. 12 RBIs.
Get a little double play ball to send the Cougar fans home happy. Pitch is a strike on the outside corner.
CSU had twin killers back in the 2nd and the 3rd. The 5th as well.
Watson to the belt and to the plate. Bounced back to the mound. Trey looks at second, but will go to first to get the sure out there for out number 2, and the runner moves down the second. Smart play by Watson right there. So 2 down, and the Hurricanes are down to their final shot of the series. Back to the top of the order, and Evan Alderman. Now that run that Cougars picked up in the 8th looms even larger, doesn't it?
Absolutely, Scott. Especially considering Alderman has not cleared the fence all season.
Another left-hander to face Watson, and the pitch is high and inside. And it's 1-0.
Trey, just put him away here.
Cougars trying to pick up their 25th win of the season. Check of the runner, the 1-0 pitch. Yeah, it hit him. Just grazed his jersey, apparently. So things get a little bit tighter. With Alderman, who's a fast guy at first, representing a potential tying run.
Oh, boy.
And left fielder Brett Burgess. He's got a couple of hits on the day. Well, it's been that kind of weekend.
Frustration mounting.
A Rolaids Tums weekend. The pitch from Trey Watson is outside, 1-0.
Forget that. I'm going straight for the jack.
I might have something like that planned for later this evening myself. Runners lead from first and second. 1-0 pitch. There's a base hit in the left field. They'll hold the runner up, and the bases are loaded as Matt Nettles gets the ball back in. Bases loaded, 2 outs. Hurricanes down by 2. I might move up that later tonight thing. Good grief.
They work for Bob Uecker in Major League, right?
Right. Well, here comes Will Redding. Now, if Redding just bloops one in somewhere in the outfield, he's got a chance to tie the game.
8 extra base hits on the season, 4 doubles, 2 triples, and a pair of homers.
Yet to get a hit in this game. The first pitch from Watson is in there for a called strike. Cougars clinging to a 2-run lead in the top of the 9th. Bases are loaded and 2 down.
A tough day all around for Will Redding. He's 0 for 7 in the doubleheader.
The 0-1 pitch on the way. There's a chopper right back to the mound. Grabbed by Trey Watson, throws to first, and the Cougars win. CSU hangs on. Trey made it exciting in the 9th inning, but he picks up another save, and the Cougars win the nightcap 5-3 and sweep the doubleheader and win the series.
Oh, happy day and a happy 1,000th game for Greg Appleton. And it was more than just the 1,000th game, wasn't it?
Had them all the way. It was never in doubt. That's all I know, right? Never in doubt. We'll take one final break. We'll come back and wrap this one up as the handshakes go down the line for the Cougars here in the doubleheader sweep. This is the flagship station of the CSU Sports Network, News Radio 540. So the Cougars win 5-3 in the nightcap after winning the opening game of the doubleheader 2-1, and they bounce back from last night's loss to take the series 2 out of 3. And indeed, a happy birthday, number 53 today for Coach Greg Appleton, as the Cougars pick up wins number 24 and 25 on the season, and Will has the totals.
Indeed I do, Scott. For the Cougars, 5 runs on 5 hits, the beneficiary of 2 Georgia Southwestern errors, counting the pass ball. They left 13 men on base, but they got just enough home to matter. For the Hurricanes, 3 runs on 9 hits, benefited from 2 CSU errors, and they left 9 of their own men on base in this one.
Well, you're unbeaten in your stint on the terrestrial radio.
There we go. I'll have to come back sometime.
Well, you know, either that or quit while you're ahead, man. You're unbeaten. You haven't lost a game. No, I appreciate you coming in. Enjoyed you sitting in with me today.
Well, thank you, Scott. I was glad to be here.
All right, that's Will DeBoer from the Columbus State University Sports Information Department. My thanks to Mackie Mason back in the studio. Good job on the doubleheader producing of the games today. And once again, your final scores of the day's doubleheader: CSU wins the opening game 2-1 and wins the nightcap 5-3. And from Ragsdale Field on this doubleheader winning afternoon, this is Scott Miller saying so long, everyone.